Welcome to a very special edition of the Unsanctioned Podcast. I'm Luis Vasquez. You can follow me on Twitter at LuisVasquez617.
This is your boy Jay Holland. You can find me across all social media, JOCity, JAYOCITY. Unless it's on Facebook at that 781 at the end.
And in the building, Julio June. You can find me at your local pigeon store.
Fly
getting right.
like an eagle.
Now, obviously, many of you clicked on this episode of the Unsanctioned Podcast because of us. Oh,
Of
and
course,
also
to hear our voices.
because of someone special.
Yeah, us. We have marvelous voices.
Right.
And maybe, just maybe, we have a WWE Hall of Famer. We got a WWE Hall of Famer.
When did we get inducted to the Hall of Fame?
Maybe we have a WWE /NJPW
WCW
WCW
/ Mid-South Wrestling.
Yes, Jim Crockett Promotions.
et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Smoky
Legendary
Mountain
commentator.
Wrestling. We got Jim Ross, ladies and gentlemen.
Jim Ross, ladies and gentlemen.
Jim Ross on the Unsanctioned Podcast.
You already know, man. This is the Unsanctioned Podcast. We are now being sanctioned over your airwaves. Let's get it.
Unsanctioned Podcast. I'm
fans.
Luis Vasquez.
Yes, Jay Holland. Fans, do you hear this?
Julio June. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is a special episode. Get really closely to your speaker boxes right now.
It's happening.
It's the
It's
love
happening.
below. Get close to your speaker boxes.
This is happening. I hope they don't think it's the spoof from the
Yeah.
Attitude Era where Diesel and Razor Ramon were coming back.
No, and
This is happening.
this is not Dr. Death Steve Williams that's about to come on the podcast tonight.
It's not the brawl for all.
the OU fight song for a special reason.
Good God almighty.
Slobberknocker.
By God, Stone Cold.
Stone Cold. Mr. Jim
Jump
Ross.
straight from hell. Jump straight
JR.
from hell.
Good old JR, fellas.
Oh,
Good old
man.
JR. Good old JR is on the Unsanctioned Podcast, and it is such a privilege to have him on and to join us and to hear his
honor.
voice on our platform.
I mean, without further ado, let's get right into it.
JR, how you doing? Thank you for the
how's it
time.
going? Thank you for coming out.
Good, fellas. Good, I'm good. Excited to be on your program. Thanks for trying to bring some attention to our event on December 16th. We appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. I'm pretty sure your name alone brings attention by itself. And, you know, we definitely want to be sure
burned
that
that.
we are plugging your Ringside, one night with Jim Ross on Saturday, December 16th with VIP tickets starting at $75. And that's a 1 p.m. meet and greet session. And then we have general admission tickets for $30. Doors opening around 2 p.m. for a 3 p.m. start.
Yep.
At Laugh Boston.
Yes, at Laugh Boston. Make sure you guys get your tickets now. You guys can go laughboston.com. Get to go see JR, good old Jim Ross. I wanted to start off because I know you're a big Sooner guy, so I wanted to congratulate you guys on advancing to that playoff.
I am planning on going to – I was on the phone today, spending way more time than I needed to on getting travel done for the Rose Bowl trip. I got a New Year's Eve party to attend, Rose Bowl parade, the game. My birthday's on the 3rd, and I do voiceovers for Access TV for New Japan on the 4th and the 5th. So very busy first week of January and finishing off that first week, beginning it with football, ending it with New Japan Wrestling. So unique week. It's a Wrestle Kingdom show, and they have big plans for that. Access TV does to really make that special, big presentation. I think sometimes people don't realize how important Access TV has been to creating brand awareness for New Japan Pro Wrestling in North America, and I think it's helped build up popularity. But in any event, we're going to do those matches, and the Okada match against Naito is big, and obviously in North America, people are jacked about two boys from Winnipeg getting it on, and Jericho and Kenny Omega. So it's going to be a good show, but I enjoy it. The football's big, though, man. It's going to be a great game. A really good defense in Georgia and a really good offense in Oklahoma. And the setting is wonderful. I've been there before. It's one of the most amazing settings for a game you can imagine in the Rose Bowl. So busy first week of January, but all good stuff, man. I'm blessed to be able to do these things. I'm very, very happy and blessed to be able, like I said, to be healthy enough to still get it done.
Jim, we know you always stay busy and are a very busy man, as you just alluded to, it, going to the Rose Bowl and doing things for New Japan and the one night only show you got going on here at Laugh Boss on December the 16th. And you recently just came out with a book, Slobberknocker, Your Life in Wrestling. Tell us about that. Do you have a favorite excerpt or a favorite story that you could share with us?
Well, the book is not a wrestling book, and that may, on the surface, maybe be confusing to wrestling fans who are buying it. It's a story about a wrestling guy, a guy that loved wrestling as a kid, but thought there was no way in hell he'd ever get into business. I didn't know anybody. I wasn't a shooter. I wasn't an All-American. I didn't have any relatives in the business. Absolute cold turkey. And I thought really when I got my job with Leroy McGurk and Bill Watts in '74 that, this would be a kind of a nice gig for 3 months. I'll go back to college this fall and graduate, start coaching football or something. But that 3-month gig lasted 40 years. So, and I really wouldn't change a darn thing with it. I've loved every minute of it. Great challenges, but that's what the book is about. The book is about being able to overcome challenges and not allowing others to define who you are. If I listened to everybody that wanted to define who I was, I would not have just eased out of the broadcasting business. I'd have ran my fat ass away from it as fast as I could. Because I was told, well, you're too chubby, you're too Southern. Then, of course, at the end, toward the last several years, I got 3 bouts of facial paralysis, the Bell's palsy, and man, that didn't do me any favors with HD television. So I kept even after I thought that I was pretty decent at my job, I came to work with a little chip on my shoulder to prove that I still deserved to be sitting where I was. But my life has been that way. Growing up as a single child on a 160-acre farm in Oklahoma, was interesting. Getting into wrestling as I did, we got in trouble as a little fraternity, kind of like Animal House. We got in trouble in college, and we had to go to the dean and plead our case to not lose our charter. And he said, "You boys need to improve your image." So we had then the pro wrestling companies would do what they call spot shows. And they would do these benefits for Kiwanis, JCs, fraternities, whatever. So we did 2 of them in my college gym. They both sold out. Danny Hodge headlined one. Cowboy Bill Watts headlined the other. And when the second one came and went, Watts says, "You ever want a job? I have a job waiting on you." Well, hell, that was just simple to me. I'm ready. I'm ready now. So it was a real crazy way of getting in the business. I fought to stay in it. I almost didn't stay in it. I almost starved out of it. Wasn't making any money. I learned to do a lot of stuff. Ring crew, ring truck, referee, promoted events, book buildings, book publicity, director of marketing, director of syndication. And so I knew that if I, with my quote-unquote average look, my funky sound, that I needed to be able to do more than just be a broadcaster to extend my longevity. So I still believe that philosophy today. You can't come to work with one tool in the toolbox. You're a one-hit wonder, and somebody else is going to take your spot that can do more things than that. So that's kind of it. So the book is about a journey. It's about overcoming, perseverance, being persistent. And I just didn't, I just refused to let others tell me what I could do or what I couldn't do. So my naivete, the country boy side of me, probably was a big blessing, because I really didn't know when I was trying to become this broadcaster in pro wrestling of all things that I would have so many strikes against me. I was ignorant, and sometimes ignorance is bliss.
Do you say you carry that into the whole Ringside event? Because you're very unapologetically and brutally honest when it comes to the questions you receive in your Ringside events. And I think that's what a lot of people enjoy about it, because it is JR unfiltered. You get JR's words directly from his mouth and his honest thoughts. What kind of, I want to guess, or I want to ask, what kind of got you started and wanted to do the Ringside events, the one-night onlys?
Well, when I knew that I was being, my time and my usefulness, my time had come to be on weekly TV in the WWE, and I knew that I was going to either be working a part-time schedule or not there at all, and it worked out. And on September the 11th, 2013, I separated from the company, and on the way from Stanford and to LaGuardia, I figured I got to make a decision if I'm going to reinvent or retire. I had the funds to retire, but I didn't have the desire to retire. So I said, I'm going to reinvent. And one of the things that was on my itinerary, potential itinerary to do, is writing a book, doing these one-man shows, because I needed to keep that fix on live performing, like you do Raw live Monday night. On that, here you go. It was that way. I love that. The adrenaline for that was irreplaceable. So I was able to replace a lot of that for these one-man shows because they're more intimate. I could look the fans in the eye. I could meet them. I could talk to them. They do get honesty, and sometimes I don't give people the answer they think they should hear, but I'll explain my point of view because we've all got different points of view. That's one thing wrestling fans can really work on a little bit, is not going crazy every time somebody disagrees with their point of view.
Right.
It's not healthy, right? So, but my shows are really unscripted. They're not, there'll be no teleprompters or no scripts passed around or nothing, no lines to memorize. Jeremy Borash is going to MC this one for me. He's really good, really funny, entertaining. And, and the nice thing is that somebody's got questions on TNA or Impact, JB can address those better than anybody that I know, and certainly me. And then all the other stuff, we team up on and we have a lot of fun. So it'll be laugh worthy for sure. And I said this before, how many of you guys like me that in your lifetime you've been kidded about being a wrestling fan, right?
Oh, big time. All the time. Still to this day.
All the time.
I'm excited to meet other wrestling fans.
My wife does it.
Yeah, there you go. And you can't die on that hill, buddy. You just got to move on in that one. But I can tell you that, the happy wife, happy life philosophy is actually a true deal. But I get that. I get that today. How did you do that? How did you stand it? It's like I got sentenced to it by the government.
Right.
Okay, you get 10 years, and if you get out, you good behavior, you get out 10 years. Well, I never understood that. I made a great living.
You have.
I put two women through college. I put two daughters through college. I bought several houses. All the materialistic crap that people seem to hang their hats on. No pun intended. So I got nothing to complain about money-wise.
Right.
I loved it. But I was a fan. I'm still a fan, and it pisses me off when people that really are fans are closet fans, but their egos are such that they can't admit that they're a wrestling fan. It's a shame. So at my shows, nobody gets fat shamed, in other words. Everybody's welcome. It's a sanctuary. It's a haven, and we're all out of the same kettle of fish, man. And I love that atmosphere because there's where all the connections come with people like me. They're fans, and I like, and those questions stimulate me to answer better questions or think of things a different way. I'm not against changing my mind on something if I think I've made a mistake. So it's a fun experience, man. It's one of and coming through the VIP meet and greet. I don't know how many guys do this. I love the autographs and the selfies and the personalizing and stuff. I don't understand how some people that sign autographs that are in the public eye have an issue of personalizing or actually spending an actual moment or two with their fan base. That ain't me. And those guys that do that should get a day job. They should get real work.
Right.
So you can't urinate on your audience, and that offends me. And that doesn't happen in my shows.
JR, Luis here. Thank you again for joining us. I'm glad you touched on Jeremy Borash. I wanted to ask you about him. I see he is the special guest MC for Ringside with Jim Ross. How did that come about? What's the relationship like between you and Jeremy, given that he's an Impact guy?
We're friends, and it's the fraternity of wrestling. Pro wrestling it's really smaller than we might perceive. And my road producer, Raphael Murphy, also works for Impact Wrestling as an independent contractor. So I got contacts, and JB, like anybody else, he's not booked. He's got a chance to do some work and get a payday, and he likes doing it. We have fun. We may have a cocktail or two before we start. And
nice. Comes off as a great guy, someone you'd want to have a drink with.
He's a good dude, and he's funny. And so that's kind of just a personal relationship. I can't remember where we first did one with him, but he was so good. I mentioned Raphael. I said, God almighty, I wish JD was available for all of our shows. He's that good. But he's going to be in Boston, and he said, hey, I'm going to be in Boston. You're doing MC. I said, hell yeah. So friendly guy, good dude, and he's really entertaining. You see a different side of him, too. He's got a really good sense of humor. It's fast thinking. So we make a nice little unique pair, quite frankly. Two wrestling nerds, one from Oklahoma, one from Minnesota, and we have a blast.
How much or how little does he pick your brain about commentating or announcing?
If he has a question or expressed himself in that world, I listen. And if I have an opinion or he asks for an opinion, I give it to him. But I'm not real big on elbowing my way in and crowding my way into somebody else's presentation on how they should do it.
Mm-hmm.
I was told to be myself early on by Bill Watts and called every match as if it was a shoot. And that was kind of how I learned. And I think I suspended disbelief better by doing that. And that's kind of still how I prefer to do it. That's what you get on this Access TV stuff, for example, on the Wrestle Kingdom presentation. It's very straightforward stuff. It's very old school NWA-like matchups, philosophies. And then that's where I learned that's my foundation came from that. So I'm kind of back to my roots in that aspect of it. And of course, some of the matches I've got to do on these NXT takeovers, the Mae Young thing, different presentation, really enjoyed those. So I'm kind of cherry picking the best of all worlds for me.
Right, big time.
Now, JR,
Vince has been real happy I'm back. If it hadn't been for him, I obviously would not have been back. But he took good care of me as he said he would, and he has. It's all been good. I wasn't the easiest guy to manage. The story about, McMahon used to really give JR hell. Well, he did sometimes. But guess what, guys? I deserved it sometimes. I deserved to get my ass taken to the woodshed. And I'm not infallible. I'm a human being. I have strong opinions. And sometimes I forget who my audience is. And I also was one of those guys, like I don't like now, that disagree with every damn thing you say. If you don't agree with everything they say, you're an idiot. And I used to think that. So you can't understand my philosophy. You can't understand my booking idea. This is a great main event for WrestleMania. What the hell? Why can't everybody see this?
Right.
Sometimes it wasn't that great.
You were just talking about your philosophy and when you call matches. Do you feel that your style fits today's matches in WWE, and not just so much takeover, but like the programming for what it is now? Like you being the iconic voice in WWE for its greatest era, and then how it is now, where it's geared more towards families. Do you think your voice could be a signature voice for today's product?
Well, if you're asking if I could carry the mail on today's WWE product, absolutely. I like to consider myself a 40-plus year broadcaster. I've done boxing, I've done MMA, I've done NFL, I've done XFL. I like to think I'm a broadcaster / storyteller. And I believe that if I couldn't adapt, it would be on me, not on the product, because the product's what it is. Everybody's product's what it is. I've done everything from WrestleMania to Smoky Mountain Wrestling. It's all different, man. But if you put it on the monitor, on your little screen that you take your stories from, I should be able to adjust. So without a doubt, and I don't mean that to sound egocentric or, I blow those other guys away. Not that at all. It would be a challenge for me to adapt to a different style. And I really like the fact right now, I think the wrestling business is probably healthier than it's been in years and years. It seems as if more people are making a living from the business than ever before. A lot of the guys that are on the indies and the free agents, so to speak, are earning a real good living and not just surviving like it has been in the past for that group of people. So I feel real good about where the business is. And I look at all those, when I worked the Mae Young Classic with Lita, she and I had not broadcast matches before. So that became a challenge, new, fresh, and I love that. And the same with work with Nigel McGuinness on a couple of those NXT things. And the last time, I think I was the fourth guy in the booth with Morrow and Nigel and
Percy Watson.
Percy Watson. And so I look at all those bookings like they're a challenge, and I get up for those. That way I don't come to work saying, oh, I'm the great JR. I don't have to hustle. I can throw this baby in. So I don't do that. I can't do that. It's not me.
Well, you can leave it up to your fans to let you know how great you are, because you are absolutely great. You just alluded to something, over your 4 decades in the business, over 40 years in wrestling, and you've worn many hats, so to speak, no pun intended, actually pun intended, in your time in the business. You were head of talent relations, you were a broadcaster. What was your favorite job in your 40 years?
Well, guys, there's nothing like sitting at ringside, broadcasting a live show with a two-man booth. And for me, you're asking me directly what's the top of my list, and it was certainly that. There's no adrenaline, there's no feeling like that. The walking out from from your behind the gorilla position to your spot when they played Boomer Sooner. That was about as cool a thing as I've ever done. Now, that's the rush. Now, the long-lasting successes are those that where guys have gone on to become very successful. Steve Austin, Dwayne Johnson, Undertaker, Shawn, Triple H, Cena, Lesnar, Orton, and others, Batista. So my guys that we signed, our team signed, I look at them today and keep up with all of them on social media, again, which has changed the business, and I can always keep up what they're doing, how well they're doing, so forth, and I'm very, very proud of that. I'm proud that I was in a role that I could help facilitate bettering the lives of some really hard-working men and women. That's really probably at the end of the day the most rewarding thing. Now, the other part, I answered first because I'm an egocentric maniac more often than not, is because that was what I had the most fun doing. Walking out to that Boomer Center, man, and people cheering and sitting down and putting those headsets on and adjusting my black hat and hunkering down and getting after it. There's nothing, nowhere else in the world would I'd rather be. There's nothing like that in anything I've ever done. So that's the most fun of that. And, I'll miss a little bit of that with the access stuff because I'm doing most of it in the voiceover. But there's an art to that too. I can't sound like I'm in a voiceover room. If I don't give you guys what you're used to hearing from me at certain times, then you're going to say, well, either JR's lost it, he didn't feel good, he's had a bad night, or he's disinterested or something because it don't sound like him. I never when I start doing that, fellas, I need to get out. Right. I'm not ready to get out.
As we near the end, I'll throw it back to Jay for that. We recently, I want to say maybe 2 months ago, interviewed Ahmed Johnson, and he had a lot of controversial things to say. But, overall, he came across proud of his time in the business. What were some of your experiences working with a guy like Ahmed back in the Attitude Era?
I think Tony had a wonderful look. I never had any. I don't remember having any what I would consider strong issues with him whatsoever. I had a couple, but nothing just out of the norm. Same thing you have other talents. But I believe that he seemed to be inherently a little bit. He didn't have a lot of self-esteem, and he seemed to have a lot of outside influences, that affected his time or his thinking. But a complex guy in some ways. But he was a big, good-looking, African-American killer. He looked great. And I do remember this story about Ahmed. Bill Watts was there helping Vince at the time, and I was in a meeting with Bill and Vince about what name we're going to give Ahmed Johnson. And Cowboy wanted to call him Buck Johnson. Buck Johnson.
Wow.
I don't know.
And Vince looked at me, and I kind of had my hand over my face, my hand in my face in my hand, like, oh shit. But Vince, he said he came up with the name Ahmed because it was more current, timely, topical, trendy, whatever. And so Buck Johnson never made air, but Ahmed Johnson did. But I just felt he had a troublesome. He seemed to me like, guys, he might have had a troublesome youth because he came with a little bit extra baggage that all guys don't have.
Right.
And I thought that some of it might have been, and I'm not Dr. Phil, Dr. JR don't have no degree, but I think he was probably had some self-esteem issues that are real nice. I didn't have any issues. He's big. He just didn't. He had he had trust issues, fellas. Yeah. And when you have trust issues in the pro wrestling business as a performer, that is almost the kiss of death, because you have to trust your opponent, you have to trust your instincts, you have to trust the booker, you have to trust your who's producing you. Trust is imperative in that world. And if you come in a little bit, with that chip on your shoulder and to that degree, it can be real harmful. And I think that's kind of what caught up with him, because he seemed like he burned his bridges with some of the guys, But like I said, I never found him to be an inherently bad guy, but I think he's troubled at times. What is this? What's he doing now?
He's down in Houston, Texas, doing a family life. When we interviewed him, he seemed at peace. He did have some hot takes, but he told us from the beginning, like, he's not going to pull any punches. His time, he looks back on his time in the business as sometimes missed opportunities, and then other sides he wishes he can reconcile some relationships, but at the same time,
Yeah.
he doesn't feel that he needs to, in his own words, kiss someone's rear end to do so.
And I agree with that. I agree with that. There's sometimes a wrestler's curse. It's either feast or famine with some of those dudes. You don't have to even go to kiss somebody's ass in the equation. Approach people like a man, as a professional, speak your mind, and see where it goes. That's how it works. It's not that challenging. But again, there's trust issues there. But look, Tony he worked hard when he was there, and I wish he'd had. I can tell you this. I wish he had a better experience under my watch than he did. I really do. But it was just things that we couldn't quite fix. And but nonetheless, and sometimes when you have hundreds of guys under contract at various times throughout a couple of decade tenure, heck, it's you're gonna miss on some of them. You're not gonna do right by everybody, and not intentionally, but it's just inevitable. Can't do right by everybody, unfortunately.
Now, Jay, a second ago, you just talked about a lot of the wrestlers whose careers you helped nature and nurture. Is there one guy who you wish that you guys signed, that you were talking to, probably, from WCW or either from outside of wrestling that a lot of us don't know about? Is there one person that you guys had hoped you guys could get in the WWE ring?
Well, I wanted to get Goldberg here right after WCW closed, but he was owed so much money by Time Warner in one of those ridiculous deals. So not ridiculous of talent, but the upper management I think is a little dicey. But he was owed so much money, I couldn't pay him what he was owed. So he could make more by not doing work, not wrestling. So that's what I would have done too. So we missed on Goldberg, but it was topical and timely. And then when we got him, I don't think we did a very good job of taking care of him, in my view. And then now the last time he came back, this last time with Brock, I thought was excellent. He got back in the spotlight. He held his own. And look, these guys, he's not no 25-year-old kid. I don't care how good he looks. He's still got some miles on him. I didn't think we did great by Bill. I thought we missed the first time around on Shelton Benjamin. That one class we had Shelton, Brock, and I would have got Brock without Shelton. Jerry Briscoe will tell you that. And we had Randy Orton was in that class, and
John Cena
was in, and Dave Bautista.
Yep.
Jeez,
Wow.
I should have given a gold watch on that one.
Stacked lineup.
But I'm not complaining. But nonetheless, the best athlete of that group I just mentioned was Shelton. He could do stuff. He could do rings around those guys. And he had the number one trait, fellas, you want in your team: reliability. You can't. If some of them you don't know he's going to get work. He's going to be in a good mood, bad mood, productive, unproductive, drunk, high, whatever. You can't do it. So he was so reliable. But I thought we didn't find the formula collectively to get Shelton's personality more developed, because he had every athletic ability and skill set that you could ever want in a wrestler. He was an educated African-American, handsome guy that checks a lot of boxes there, fellas. That's the way it goes, right? It's entertainment. He checks a lot of boxes, good boxes. I thought we didn't do as much with him as we could have in developing his personality and his talking skills. I don't remember. I'm trying to think if there's anybody that we brought in that just, do the bed. There were some here, but I think my focus was always on trying to sign guys that I thought had a chance to headline a WrestleMania. And because if you miss a little bit, they're still really, really good. I don't want somebody that's good enough to be on the card. I want somebody to be good enough to be in the main event of the card. And then if you miss a little bit, you're just dropping down a notch to the semi-main level or whatever, co-main event, wherever it may be. But Shelton was so good in that world, and I'm glad he's back because he can teach those kids a lot that he's working with. Chad Gable should learn tremendous amount of knowledge from Shelton, and it's not all just in the ring. It could be, saving money, making your towns, making your trips, hotel reservations, whatever it may be. Life on the road with someone that has saved their money, has money in the bank, and is a homeowner, is a single guy, he's responsible. So I have a lot of respect for Shelton. But I wish when I was there that we had done more with him than we did. So I feel badly about that, but I'm very, very proud that he's back with the company, and he can help guys in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I think you said it for all of us. We all look at Shelton and wonder why he never was a former world heavyweight champion, especially when it was 2 world heavyweight championships.
He's got the part of that, and I told this to Shelton, so I'm not sticking out of school. Part of that was Shelton's fault. He was making really good money. He had a really good spot on the team, but he wasn't the top of the roster. But when he worked with the top guy, he killed it. But when he got his opportunities, and maybe they were ill-timed or he was ill-prepared, whatever, he didn't hit a home run on the mic as he hit in the ring. Yeah. So we needed to be able to protect him or fix that. But here's the thing nowadays. It's not 100%, but I can tell you at least 90%. If you're not talking, you're not getting over. Mm-hmm. If you can't talk, you won't get over. Unless there's a, Abdul the Butcher, type persona that you have a great spokesperson. Brock Lesnar doesn't cut promos, but he can. And the less is better for him because he's a man of few words. But he's got arguably the greatest talker of the business representing him in Heyman. And there's nothing Heyman can't sell and make you believe that you're getting a good bargain. He's great. He's the best.
Right.
Now, JR, we wanted to, and once again, thank you for your time. Before we wrap, I had to ask you this one question. You've called countless matches, historic moments across, every basically wrestling platform. And I wanted to ask you this one question. If you could call any match, whether it's one that you've already called or even a future one that you could put together, who would be involved in that match?
Well, if I had to book a match clean, I would go against my own intuition. A lot of bookers will take a shortcut and say, well, I want to make a lot of guys happy, so I'll have a 6-man tag. Or we'll have an 8-man tag. Make 2 more even happier. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Or whatever. I'm not big on that. I like the one-on-one stuff. I love the strong personality. So, to get a Rock Austin, everybody is at 100% would be awesome because they had great chemistry. If there's a match in the past, I would like to call some of the Dory Jr. Jack Briscoe matches. I refereed some of the Danny Hodge Jack Briscoe matches, which are phenomenal. But in matches that I didn't call, there's 2 matches that are on my dossier that I wish I had been able to call in WWE. One was, and foremost, first one that comes to mind is Hogan and Andre at WrestleMania 3, because that really flipped the switch. It flipped the switch big time. And for all the territories and all the promoters that were cussing McMahon and, he's killing the business and all that stuff, he made those guys more money than they want to admit because that they admitted it. Those egocentric ex-wrestlers who became promoters would look bad. And God forbid you can't make one of the boys look bad because they're so genteel in their ego. So but I'd love to call that match. And I'd love to have called the Mick Foley's first WWE title win because I really worked hard to get Mick on the team, and he overexceeded everybody's expectations. And I was on the IR with a Bell's palsy attack when he won the title for the first time. And because of the journey that we had been on together, it would have been really cool if I had been able to call that person. I was watching at home. I was happy for him. I got tears in my eyes. I was happy for him winning. And that's funny. He goes, why would you have tears in your eyes, JR? You probably knew he was going to win. Well, I didn't know he was going to win, but I was happy for him. And I just got a text message from him. He must have good ears. But he has one really good ear. One, right? Yeah. But, those 2 matches come to mind from those eras. I got to call 3 Steamboat Flair matches in '89, man. Everybody raised about Okada and Omega. I called 3 of them this year. Really, really good stuff.
Those are awesome.
So I've been really lucky at different periods of time to come along and the 3 Austin Rock main events was on my watch, 15, 17, and 19. So right place, right time. But those are some matches that I missed. The Andre thing and the Foley thing. There's probably 10 more. I think I know one would be Shawn and Undertaker's last match, WrestleMania 26, I think it was. But anyway, I thought I was going to work on that match, but at the I was a late inning scratch, as they say. What
about Roman Reigns and The Undertaker? Was that something that you really wanted to do, or were you called in, hey, would you like to do this?
Well, you guys got to remember that only about 8 or 9 days prior to that, my wife got killed.
Yeah, and we're very sorry to hear that.
I was thinking more about that than anything else, to be honest with you. And I signed my contract to return to WWE on the Friday night before WrestleMania on Sunday. I found out on Saturday that I was actually going to call a match, and I thanked the other end of the phone and said, "Get ready to hang up. Don't you want to know what match you're calling?" Yeah, if you want to tell me, it's not. It's not be all. I had other stuff. I really didn't care, to be honest with you. But then they said it's Taker and Reigns. It's going on last. Now that got my attention. Going on last and it being Taker, knowing that we don't know how many more Taker's got in him or he wants to do. We don't know that yet. And until he says he's retired, in my eyes, he isn't retired. He'll tell us that when he's ready. But the point is that I didn't know. I had a day to think about that. I think I had a one-man show to do that afternoon in Orlando. So I was busy. But it was very cool. I almost had to keep it out of to be honest, guys, I kind of had to keep it at the back burner going into it because I was very emotional that day. And my wife was supposed to be there. And she wanted me to have that get jersey back. She even told me that she wanted to hear my pop. The wrestling terminology. Well, I can't wait to hear your pop. So I don't know if there's a pop or not, but I got to do it somewhere or another. She heard some of it, but it's a very that whole weekend's kind of a blur, to be honest with you. But when they said it's Taker and it's going on last and it's WrestleMania, even in mourning, I snapped out of it, got back out of my black hat and ready to go to work.
Well, Mr. Ross, I mean, we thank you just not even for just appearing on the Unsanctioned Podcast, but we thank you just for being a part of my childhood and my adulthood. I think I speak for both of my co-hosts as well. Like, we will forever, link you with the most iconic matches that we have ever watched
Forever.
In our lifetime. And also just once again, for those who are listening, we want to make sure that you guys are going out and picking up the New York Times bestseller Slobberknocker, My Life in Wrestling, as well as the fans in Boston, Massachusetts,
New England
Saturday,
area.
December 16th at Laugh Boston, ringside with Jim Ross, special guest MC Jeremy Borash. For those who don't know, Laugh Boston is located at 425 Summer Street, Boston, Massachusetts, 02210. Tickets are available at laughboston.com. VIP tickets are $75. That includes a meet and greet session. General admission is $30. Doors open at 2 p.m. Show starts at 3 p.m. sharp.
Appreciate you guys helping us out. I enjoyed being on your show.
Thank you.
Thank you. Fellas, that was such a privilege to speak to the man himself, the myth, the legend.
Like we say in the business, I marked out as soon as I heard his voice. You know what I mean? That was good old JR himself.
That was good old JR.
And for everybody who's in the New England area, please don't forget your opportunity. One night only.
Ringside with
Jim Ross.
Saturday.
Laugh Boston. Saturday, December 16th.
You already know. VIP tickets starting at $75. That's a 1 p.m. VIP meet and greet session. $30 general admission, man. That's doors open at 2. Show begins at 3 p.m. sharp.
What a humble man, too.
Super humble.
Super humble. Definitely to know the legacies he's had in this wrestling business and to still know that, he even knew he had to reinvent himself to become a new.
Mm-hmm.
JR said my name.
JR.
He
JR
did.
said Jay.
He did. Like, and, on top of that, like, I was speechless. Like, you guys know me. I like to talk, but I'm still like living in the moment. Like, JR
Honestly,
is so down to earth. Like, he's like the uncle that you go to cookouts with, and you're like, that's the cool uncle.
Right.
You wanted his Uncle JR right there. You just want to sit back, have some beers with him because he's going to make you laugh with a certain story or when he analyzes stuff. So
how crazy was it to hear him list just a small snippet of the wrestlers he helped build and nurture and start? Randy Orton, Brock Lesnar, Batista, Shelton Benjamin,
John Cena.
Right. The Rock, Stone
Cold.
And you know what it is? Like,
legendary.
And from that, I like how he remained honest because when it came on to the Ahmed, in which we know has been a hot topic throughout this podcast, just the duration in its entirety. He was very open and honest and candid about it. He's like, he wished that his time could have been a little more better in WWE, and at the same time saying that, his problems, that being Ahmed Johnson, was, a whole trust issue. And then when you look at how he talked about Shelton, he was just like, no Brock, no Shelton. A lot of people forget they were part of the Minnesota Wrecking Crew.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But just for him to be like, Shelton has an amazing talent, and he like wants Shelton to be in WWE, and that he's just happy for him to be back there because he realizes that Shelton could be a lot more, instead of not just an in-ring performer, but as well as a great teacher to the up-and-coming generation of superstars. Wow, I'm still mind blown. Like, it's crazy.
Mind blown, and we thank you for joining us. This was a mark out moment for us and the legacy.
Mark out moment. I like that. Get
Unsanctioned
that on a T-shirt.
podcast. Yeah,
Mark out moment.
Mom?
M-O-M.
Men
Mom?
on a mission.
Oh, no. Never mind. We can't be that. If we're going to be men on a mission, I'm definitely Oscar.
You already know, man. This is Jay Holland, man. You can find me at JO City, JAYOCITY, across all social media platforms, unless it's on Facebook at that 781 at the end.
I'm Luis Vasquez. You can follow me on Twitter at Luis Vasquez617.
And this is Julio June. You can follow me at just everything that's great.
Fly like an eagle.
Maybe one day, ladies and gentlemen.
One day you will see his face.
If you can write enough letters in. Here's the thing. We'll have a contest. If you can come up with a good Twitter name, Instagram name, then maybe I'll open up an account.
Oh, I just made
for the
partake.
for the podcast. Here's the thing: you can't be affiliated or associated or a relative or a significant other of anybody associated to the podcast.
Oh, wow.
So-
What kind of sweepstakes is
Submit
this?
your-
So there.
Submit your everything, your handle ideas, everything for Julio June. Unsanctioned
Get this
Podcast at
Get
gmail.com.
this man on the
write
internet
your
waves.
names in.
Help us.
If you want to get me into the 21st century,
Write in unsanctioned podcast at gmail.com. Get Julio June on
the
social
eagle didn't
media.
like that.
Get him in.
Like, that's my whole thing. Unsanctioned Podcast, you know what I mean, at gmail.com. Unsanctioned PW.
Right? On
Across
Twitter.
the social media. Yeah, we got the Facebook page for it
Right.
too. Submit those for Mr. Julio June.
And a big shout out to Fight Booth PW.
Fight Booth.
FightBoothPW.com for hosting.
Yes, and once again, man, this is the Unsanctioned Podcast. We are now being sanctioned across the airwaves. Have a good one, y'all.
Adios.
Bye-bye.